Not yet. Here. Okay. Yeah, this is great. It'll be a little bit
All right, how are you all? Yes, I'm all warmed up after walking. Thank you all for walking with me. Before we get started, a couple of announcements. How many of you have not met with me for your blood results? Raise your hand. Okay, Paul. Anyone else? Okay, Paul, I'll meet with you after the program. Okay? So, next Monday, we are going to do a potluck for you guys. You'll not have to bring anything. Our team will be having a pre-Thanksgiving meal. So it will be healthy, and we will have the recipes for you so that it will help you to think about your own Thanksgiving and maybe do some healthy recipes. So next Monday, we will have the Thanksgiving meal. We will give you the recipes, and hopefully that will be helpful for you. The Monday after next will be no class. You'll have 1 day break, okay? So remember, next Monday we are having the Thanksgiving meal. And the Monday after that, which is 30th, November 30th, there'll be no class. Okay? We start in January. It goes to, after 3 months, we will go to bi-weekly. So that's when we'll go to twice a month. And that'll be for 2 months, and then we will go to once a month. The last 6 months will be once a month. So, but it's flying, everything is flying, so we are good. Also remember, the last week of December, there'll be no class, okay? No, the week of Christmas. We'll give you that week off as well, so you can enjoy. Pardon me? Week after Christmas, the last week, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, any questions about that? Okay. I will be traveling out of the country from next week. I'll be gone for a few weeks, but you're in good hands. Samantha will be there. All the health coaches will be there. So, just wanted to let you know that you may be not seeing me for about 3 weeks. Okay? All right. Any questions on what we have covered so far? No? All right. We will get started. And today, Megan is going to lead.
Thanks, Dr. Ezra. How's everyone today? Good. Okay. Well, thanks for coming out tonight. We are going to be talking about session 7, which is problem solving. And so this session is kind of short, so we're going to try not to make it too boring. But there's a lot of discussion, and then at the end we're going to work through a couple problems so that we can kind of take what we learned and put it to real life practices. So I'll try to keep it interesting. I'm just going to go through the information that's in our packets, and then like I said, we'll have some discussion and some practice at the end. So before we get started really into session 7, I want to kind of just briefly discuss session 6 and see how everyone's doing since session 6. Did anybody have any trouble keeping track of their foods and their fat grams and calories this week?
I had.
You did? What did you have trouble with?
We went to a fine dining restaurant.
Yes.
And
Fine dining. Yeah.
I hardly knew what I was eating.
So with like non-chain restaurants,
Yeah.
that can kind of sometimes be a challenge, especially if you're going out and you can't just scan it or type in, eating at Ruby Tuesday today. So something I had suggested maybe was in your keeping track booklets, you could maybe try to find something similar. If you know what you're eating, they might just put this mystery meat in front of you and tell you to have at it. So if you could find something similar to what you, so say you have an 8-ounce steak at this fine restaurant, maybe you could look at like Ruby Tuesday or Applebee's or Longhorn Steakhouse and kind of find something that's similar, kind of estimate on the calories. It's going to be kind of hard to say the exact number of calories, but something similar, that'll be better than nothing. So Anyone else have any problems this week?
It's just so time consuming. It
keep track.
takes me at least a half an hour a day.
To keep track of the calories. Do you do it all at once? Or do you break it up into little time frames?
Sometimes one way, I always have several things to
Okay.
do at the last day.
Okay, as I say, did you find a way that works better for you? Like if you break it up into little.
No, not really. I
No.
haven't yet.
Oh. So, what I would think would work, but be different from what would actually work for you, is to just right after you eat that meal, so like breakfast or something, just jot it down real quick, rather than maybe cramming it all last minute when you're about ready to go to bed. And you're like, oh, I really don't want to do that. So maybe just finding a different time in the day that would help. That would be one of the suggestions I have. Anybody else have any suggestions that worked for them? I know keeping track can be very tedious.
If I don't write it down the day I eat it, I forget what I ate.
Forget, yeah.
Yeah.
So just,
And I really don't like looking up all that stuff.
okay. Yes.
I don't do this all the time,
Uh-huh.
but sometimes I do. I write it down before
Oh,
I sit down at the table,
okay.
and then that will keep me, you know.
Yes. Keep you in line, keep you organized. Yeah, that's a good idea, is writing it down maybe before. Yeah, back here.
Use your cell phone to take a picture of it.
He said to use your cell phone to take a picture of it.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, just taking a picture of the calories and then maybe, yeah, that would be helpful.
I have started writing down sort of this, there's certain things I eat over and over and
Uh-huh.
over and
Oh,
over.
yes.
So I finally have made a sheet
Okay.
of those things, so I don't have to keep going to the book. I can look at my sheet and
That's a
that
good idea, like a
helps
little
us.
cheat sheet. Yeah, great. That's a really good idea. That way you're eliminating time. Yeah.
We have a facial recognition app. How about food recognition app?
You can scan your meal and it'll calculate it for you. That would be great. You could create that and make a lot of money from that. Patent that. You better patent it before somebody else does. Yeah.
One of the things that I did, but it was hard, you know, to stay on top of it.
Uh-huh.
But I was using MyFitnessPal
Okay.
app,
My Fitness Pal.
and because I have this right with me, so I can calculate it in MyFitnessPal.
Uh-huh.
But then what started getting bad is that I forgot to go back and write it in this.
And write it. Yes. Well,
That makes
so
sense.
what Anine does, she prints it online. So
That's a good idea.
see, she can show you.
Yeah.
She prints it out from My Fitness Pal. So that way it's there, but you're not spending the hours. Now, I assume you would have to log on to a computer to do that.
You do, yeah,
Okay.
But can you, what are you just stapling it to your book?
I'm just stapling it down.
That's a great idea. That's 4 to 5 minutes a day. Thank you for sharing.
Uh-huh.
I wonder if anybody has run into this problem. When I'm looking up for a food aggregator,
Uh-huh.
it shows multiple listings with different
Okay.
calories, and no way to figure out which one is accurate.
So what I kind of do on that, because I run that to the too. I just use the first search. Because if you think about it, like when you Google something, the first one that pops up is usually the best one. So I just kind of did that. I'm like, okay, done. It's in. So it might not be the most accurate, but the first search to me is probably the best search. So that could eliminate some. I mean, unless it's a significant calorie difference, like 1,000 calories or 10 calories, then. Whenever, if it's pretty similar, I would just go with the first one, yeah. MyFitnessPal does that, and I think it's just due to multiple entries. Multiple people putting in different entries, and so then it kind of keeps that there, but I usually just click on the first one. Yeah, so I hope that helps. Okay, well, I'm happy that you guys have found some methods to kind of create, or to eliminate some of the hassle. I really like that everyone has an open discussion that we kind of feed off of each other, So kind of in review with that is, last week we talked about taking charge of what's around you. So I would just want to talk about, were you able to get rid of some of the problem food cues and add a positive cue for being more active? Anybody find a problem cue, something that got in your way this week that kind of deterred you from being on track?
Yeah, grandkids.
Grandkids, they're supposed to keep you more active. So absolutely, having your grandkids or something, you know, if you're watching them for the day or the week or something, that can kind of obviously deter you from your normal daily schedule. Anybody else? Late meetings that you had to go to that you normally didn't have to go to this week? That could be a problem getting in our way. Yeah. Okay, well, so it's important to recognize these problem cues and to think about how they affect your day. You know, if you're trying to work out every day 30 minutes at 5 o'clock, recognizing something that might get in your way and trying to eliminate that problem is awesome. So we're going to kind of talk about that today and in the sessions from here on out. So just to kind of review what we're going to be talking about, in the first 6 sessions of this program, we learned how to eat healthy and how to be more active. And this is going to help you lose weight and prevent diabetes and be healthier in general. But now we need to learn how to make these changes permanent. So they say it takes 21 days to create a habit, to form a habit, to continue to go with that change. So you guys are already 7 weeks in. That's 49 days. I think, if I did my math right. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. So, you know, you guys are here. You're forming a habit. You're coming every Monday. You're already on the right track. So we want to continue these changes and kind of make this something that's just a natural part of your lifestyle. So in the next several sessions, we're going to be focusing on a couple different things. We're going to focus on negative thoughts, slips and how you react to slips. Slips are part of your everyday life, but how we recover from those slips is important. So and then we're going to talk about stress and what people say or do or social cues. So all of these things can get in our way of healthy eating, but what are some of the things that you think get in your way? What are some examples of things that get in your way every day?
Work.
Work, absolutely. Stress eating because of work?
Well, not as much stress if you just eat the right stuff.
Yes.
I mean, when you put in 9.5 hours a day, 6 days a week, sometimes packing your lunch doesn't happen.
Right.
You know, you work a little bit overtime, you don't want to go home and prepare an hour and a half's worth of meal to sit down and eat 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I'm glad you said that because that's something.
All kinds of reasons for a working person not to eat healthy.
Yes. How about anybody bringing lunch or bringing snacks into work? Anybody, coworkers bringing donuts, cupcakes? All the time. So work is a big part of something that gets in our way of our healthy eating and healthier lifestyles. Anybody else have any other examples? No? Okay, well we're going to talk about several examples and how we can work through them. So, you know, these problems can be solved, and today we're going to talk about the process of problem solving. It might seem silly and it might seem elementary, but there's a lot of really good examples that we have in this session. So I think a lot of you can be able to relate to them. So we'll be able to put some things into perspective here. So if you want to look at page 1, the first page of your handout, we're going to talk about the 5 steps to solving a problem. Again, might seem silly, but we want to go through a couple examples that I think you can really relate to. So first, we're going to talk about, when we look at something that gets in the way of our everyday lives, we're going to talk about the problem itself, the problem in detail. And we want to be specific about that problem. So the example that they give in my pamphlet is, I eat more fat than I should. So we want to think about the type of foods that we eat. We want to be specific. Are they red meats? Are they desserts? So we want to be specific about when we eat them too. Do you eat these high-fat foods at night when you're just like, oh, I'm home and I'm tired and that dessert is in my refrigerator and it's so good, so I'm just going to go eat. So we want to be specific about when we eat them. And we want to describe these situations in detail. So you might go to your mother-in-law's house and she's always got dessert on the table. So we got to recognize that I'm going to my mother-in-law's house today. I know she's going to have cheesecake. So what are some ways I can not eat that cheesecake when I go to her house without hurting her feelings, of course? We all know how
It's a
mother-in-laws
little
are.
messy to put in your pocket.
So we want to also look at what
Yeah, mother-in-law, because they are the one who enforce the law.
yes, they don't get they enforce the laws, absolutely. So we want to look at what led to this problem of going to your mother-in-law's house and eating this dessert. So these problems involve a chain of actions. One action leads to another action. and then eventually it leads to inactivity or overeating. So this is called an action chain, and we're going to look at this on the little blurb down here, in the little square in your page 1. So we're going to use Sarah as an example today. We're going to really pick on her. And the participants in Charleston were a little upset that I picked on her so much. So before we get into Sarah's example, we want to try to see the steps in this action chain. So things that are around you that cue you to be inactive or to eat. So for example, say you live near a bakery and it's just so convenient that it's on the way to your house after work, and you get off work and you're like, I really am so hungry, I could really use a cheesecake right now, a piece of cheesecake. It's pumpkin spice cheesecake because it's right in season right now. So I'm going to go, just every day, I'm just going to go get a piece of pumpkin spice cheesecake from the bakery because it's just so convenient. So we see that that's a cue that's around us. People in your life that don't support your efforts. So if I call my husband and I'm like, you know what, Josh, I'm really hungry and I really want that cheesecake. He says, you know what, just you deserve it. You've had a hard day. Just go get that cheesecake. So that might be somebody that doesn't support. He knows that I'm trying to eat healthier. He knows I'm trying to be more active. But yeah, he just tells me that I deserve that cheesecake. So yeah, I'm going to get that cheesecake. So the next one is thoughts or feelings that get in that way. So things like, you know, I'll never be disciplined enough to not get that cheesecake. So I might as well just go ahead and do it. And I'm going to be bored tonight. Josh is gone. So I think that piece of cheesecake will just fill the void. So those are some action links that get in the way of our problems. So relating to Sarah now, I'm going to hop off my cheesecake spiel. So this is an example of Sarah's problem. She's a very busy woman with a job and she has a family. Yesterday she was extremely busy at work, so she didn't eat lunch because she didn't have time. So after not eating lunch in the afternoon, her boss was very hard on her, very critical and demanding, so she felt stressed out and anxious. At the end of the day, she came home tired, upset, and hungry, so she decided to go right into the kitchen. Immediately, she saw a package of cookies on her table, so she went right in there, and before she knew it, she ate a fair number of cookies. So as you can see on Sarah's action chain, all these little things led up to her eating these cookies that she knew better than to eat. So we want to talk about what she needs to do first, and we want to make a plan for any roadblocks that might come up in her plan. And we're going to build in the steps that make her success more likely. So if she involves somebody in this process, like say her husband, will that help her to make a better decision about eating these cookies? And no, yeah, that's true. So, can she do anything to make this more fun and enjoyable? Will it help if she writes out her plan and posts it on the refrigerator? I'm sorry.
You gotta pass the cookies before she gets to the refrigerator.
I'm actually on the right page. I'm sorry, I'm on the wrong page. So, as in regards to Sarah's action plan, so you see that the real problem may not be the last step, which is the cookies. The cookies are maybe not the problem, but all the things that led up to eating those cookies are the problem. So we want to uncover this action chain and help her find the weakest links in the chain. So there's a saying that a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. By naming all the links in this chain, she's going to be able to find the weak ones, and she's going to find a place where she can make this change. So as you can see on page 2, Sarah's action chain is there on the left. That's the links. We're going to brainstorm our options for Sarah's action chain and how she can take these and break them. So brainstorming is where we think about, we create a storm of ideas in your brain. Obvious. So it's easier said than done. So for Sarah, we want to go through her links and we want to brainstorm some of her options for breaking these links. They give some pretty ridiculous examples here that are not really realistic, but just the fact that people are, we're thinking about options. What are her options? Some realistic options may stem from these unrealistic options. So you're not at all powerless to make these changes. So you can see that Sarah, on page 2 in her little square, she has the ability to make all these changes herself. So let's go through and see what her options are and see if we can think of any other options for Sarah. So in her first action, in her action chain, her first link is she did not eat lunch. So an example that they give is quit her job. That's not really realistic. especially in today's economy. So something else they mentioned was pack a quick bag lunch. Can anybody else think of a different example to give Sarah since she did not pack her or did not eat her lunch that day?
Well, first of all, if she's really that busy at work that she can't eat lunch, she better make sure to eat breakfast.
Oh, very good.
And she should have a plastic bag of stuff
Some snacks available.
at lunchtime.
Okay, that's great, because it doesn't say that she didn't eat breakfast, and I bet you she did not eat breakfast.
And
Yeah.
sometimes, a quick lunch, if you truly can't leave your desk,
Uh-huh.
then the bag lunch idea where it's right there beside you. You don't have to go to the kitchen or the
Right.
cafeteria, you don't have to go use the microwave.
Right.
It takes up, because in your mind, it's like, I really don't have time to do that,
Yes,
but I have time to munch on this apple or these
great,
carrots, and
that's
they're
right here on my
here.
desk,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if Sarah has a space in her desk, you know, she could keep some little bars or something in that desk. That might not be the healthiest option, however, it's gonna be a better option than to completely skip lunch altogether. Yeah, and it's right there, she doesn't have to
Yeah.
even move her feet. Okay, very good examples. So next, Sarah's boss was critical, she felt stressed and anxious. So the examples that they give here are that she could talk with her boss about solving the problems at work, she could take a break, or she could get support from a coworker. Those are all pretty good examples. Can you guys think of any others? Someone said yesterday that maybe she could just step away, take a quick walk if she had time. Seems like Sarah's a very busy lady. So she could take a break and take a couple deep breaths, meditate a little bit. Any others?
Depends on what her job is.
Stress always comes from the boss. Get rid of the boss. That's a good example, a good option.
Well, she already quit her job.
Yeah.
She ain't got no stress.
She was having stress and she put her job down.
Depends on what her job is.
What I do on the job, I know that stress comes from the boss.
Sure.
So I remain professional, just
Okay.
focus on my work. I don't care what he's thinking.
Great. That's awesome, yeah. Remind Sarah that she could just focus on her work and the good that she's doing. Yeah, absolutely.
You don't say if Sarah is diabetic.
Okay. No, we don't know if
It
Sarah
is
is.
my experience that when you have low blood sugar,
Uh-huh.
the stress is, you can't handle it as well.
Okay.
Because your body's not, your
Absolutely.
brain isn't thinking well. And a lot of things happen when you are diabetic and low sugar.
That could be different. Yeah, absolutely. So Jerry said that if Sarah was diabetic, you know, she might not be able to handle the stresses as well. So that's something to keep in mind for Sarah. They don't say necessarily that she could do. Absolutely.
We can assume that because
Yes, we
this is
can.
a
Exactly, we can assume that, yes. So in the next link, Sarah came home tired, hungry, and upset. So what's something that she could do when she gets home, or maybe on the ride home?
Go to bed.
Go to bed. See? Sarah's got chores to do when she gets home. She's got family. She's got a child that needs her.
And she's hungry.
She's hungry. So Sarah could maybe listen to some calming music on the ride home. And if she lives in Morgantown, she's got a long commute because the traffic is really bad.
And she'll get more anxious.
And she'll get more anxious, absolutely. So something that could calm her down is maybe to carry some snacks with her. She's hungry, she's vulnerable. I like to say hangry, hungry and angry. So,
I used to work with an RN that would go to Kroger's and park in the parking lot and take a nap before she
Oh.
even went home.
okay. That's an option if Sarah's really, really into that. Okay, good. Hey, see, we're brainstorming options. No option is, you know, off the charts right now, in this moment.
I spend 2-3 hours in the car and throw all the things in the office and go home.
Okay,
So I don't remember anything.
leave work at work.
Just work at work
Yes.
and home at home.
Yes, that's good. Just kind of clear your mind before you even get into the car. Yeah. Those are all very good examples. So when Sarah gets home, she goes right into the kitchen. And I think some of their examples that they give here are a little unrealistic. They suggest that maybe Sarah goes through a different door when she gets home. So that, you know, again, silly ideas, but it stems some thinking. So they also suggest that maybe when she gets home, she can go outside and do something. So straightening up a closet or room in the house. But I mean, she's really hungry. She's really hungry. So she's got to get this.
Yeah, if you skip lunch, you ain't gonna go out.
No, you don't want to go home and rake the leaves, do you? So what is something that Sarah could do to fill this
Exactly.
when she gets home? Maybe she could have some fruit sitting out, like an apple, rather than a cookie.
Peanut butter,
Carrots
something
and
with
peanut
protein.
butter. Something that's filling and has protein in it. So right. So Sarah, yes, she could do that when she gets home, and then maybe she could take a little break and go do some, some chores to kind of unwind and de-stress before she goes and cooks her meal.
Somebody needs to buy Sarah a crock pot so she can have her supper.
So her dinner's ready for her. Absolutely, that's a perfect idea. And that's something on our next action chain, or our link on our action chain. She saw the cookies on the counter. So someone said, or our example says, don't buy the cookies. Well, what if your mother-in-law brought them over, She can't hurt her feelings. You gotta have the cookies on the counter. Maybe Sarah could have the crock pot running, have some food ready for her.
Don't leave them on the counter.
Don't leave them on the counter? Absolutely, stick them in a drawer. I know that I have a bag of Doritos at my house and I have no clue because I put them in the drawer. I don't see them, out of sight, out of mind. I forget they're there and I open them, I'm like, oh. So putting them in a different drawer, somewhere where you can't see them, that's a very good idea. And then keeping a healthier snack in sight. So rather than the cookies, maybe you could put a basket of bananas or some apples on there. So those are really good options, and keep those ideas because we're going to go through our own example here in a little bit. Sarah's going to really need your help. So the third step to the problem solving is going to be pick an option to try. This is very obvious. So we want Sarah to pick one of these options to see if it's going to work for her. You want to pick something that's very, very, very likely to work because you don't want to set unrealistic goals and then get discouraged when you don't reach the goals. So pick something that's going to work. So for Sarah, it could be the cookies. Putting the cookies in a drawer. That might be something that's very easy for her, and that can encourage her to continue to have these goals. So, sorry.
I think if the cookie is no sugar, then no problem.
No sugar. Calories don't count in the evenings.
Or if you're standing when you eat them.
Yes, right. So it's going to be easier for Sarah to avoid eating too many cookies if she doesn't buy them, of course, or have them on the counter. And that as long as she breaks these chains and or links in the action chain, she's going to be more likely to have less links to work with in the future. So if eating lunch doesn't help Sarah and she still arrives home tired, hungry and upset, then she can still choose a low-calorie snack. So let's say that Sarah chooses the option of packing a quick bag lunch. And this could be, maybe she packed it the night before. Rather than in the morning, she got up late, she was rushing, so she packed it the night before. Well, now she wants to make a positive action plan. And this is exactly where we're going to spell out what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, what you're going to need to do first, and then make a plan for roadblocks that could come up, and then ways you're going to solve those roadblocks. So we're actually going to do this ourselves in a little bit, but first we want to continue to help Sarah. So if you look on page, I guess it's page 3 of your pamphlet, you can kind of see Sarah's positive action plan here that she drew up for herself. So she decided that she is going to pack a quick bag lunch in. It doesn't say at night, but I'm going to help her out and we're going to pack it at night. So she's going to do this Tuesday and Thursday of next week. So that way she will have a lunch for Wednesday, Thursday, and hopefully if it's not something that will spoil, she'll have it for a week. So what she needs to do first in order to make sure that she has a successful bagged lunch is she's going to have to go shopping. Who hates grocery shopping? Everyone. Don't go on an empty stomach because Sarah might come home with a bunch of cookies. Yeah, if she goes on an empty stomach, she might not get the healthier options. And she suggests that she's going to do it the night before. I'm sorry, I didn't see that there. So Sarah decides that some roadblocks that might come up, she might forget to pack her lunch, she might get so busy at work and come home and go right to bed. She decides that she might find a healthier sandwich place with a quick service. So even if Sarah can't just go out, some of us work in a place where we can't just easily go outside and find a shop. So something that we talked about yesterday was maybe finding a local deli or somewhere close that will deliver. Now the delivery fees will add up, of course, but it's just as a quick option rather than just not eating at all. So finding a place that has a quick, healthier option that can deliver. Sarah decides that she's going to be more successful if she asks a friend who also brings a bag lunch to join her for lunch on Tuesdays. So this is something that's very realistic and very easy for Sarah to do. She's not setting her goals too high so that if she doesn't reach them, she's not completely discouraged, but she decides that this is what's going to work for her. So the last obvious step in the brainstorming process, or the problem-solving process, is to do it. So try it. See what works, see what doesn't work, see what went wrong, and if something did go wrong, problem solve again. So that's on page 3 there. So now I want you guys to work through on page 4. We're going to pick on Sarah again. We can hear these out. And we have another little scenario for you. I kind of want you to work in maybe groups of 2 or 3, just, a partner close by. We're going to give you another scenario of another day that Sarah was just a mess.
Does everyone get one or one for a group?
Maybe one for every 2. Yeah. We're going to try to work on words here. See. And I'll read it out for you as well. I'll start up here. You're welcome. Yeah, you can read through this real quick. I'll read it out loud as well. Can I have one of those? Forgot to leave my cell phone. Alright, so poor Sarah, she's just had a really rough week this week. Well, now she decided she's going to start exercising. So, I think a lot of people can relate to this. And so Sarah started exercising right when she gets off work at 4:30. She has a gym at her workplace, which is really convenient. So every day she packs her exercise clothes in the morning right before she leaves for work. Well, this Monday, she woke up late, therefore causing her to rush out the door. She forgot her clothes. So she decided when she got to work, when she realized it, she was going to go home right after work, grab her clothes, and then come back to work to go exercise. So throughout the day, Sarah was tasked with working on an activity board at work, and that required a lot of stretching, reaching up and down off the floor, bending this way, that way. So she was exhausted. So this task also put her an hour behind, causing her to get off work at 5:30. So prime traffic time, okay? So traffic's terrible. She gets off work. She goes home to get her clothes. Stuck in traffic for another hour. So when she gets home, she was just exhausted, hungry, completely unmotivated to go back into town to work out. So she decided that she's just going to stay home. Well, at that point, she was already 2 hours behind her normal schedule. So she's like, I'm not cooking, I'm ordering a pizza. So she has it delivered. So as you can see below on this paper, steps 1 through 6, these are our links to our action chain. So I want you guys to kind of brainstorm some options for Sarah. And you don't have to fill out in your packet, you don't have to fill out the problem in detail. That's already on this page for you. But on the link, on the page where it says brainstorm your options on that side, work together and create maybe 1 or 2 options for Sarah. What are some things that she could do for each of these action chains here, 1 through 6? She woke up late, she didn't have her exercise clothes packed, she was tasked with something that pushed her schedule